At this point, if you believe otherwise, you're just as delusional as me. What's up, guys? I love Hunter here, and here we are to talk about why Yuta Okkotsu is the strongest character in JJK now. Like he is. Of course, now doesn't matter because JJK's over, but still, he is the strongest sorcerer. He's the strongest character. Yuta Okkotsu now is the strongest on every single level with some rare exceptions, but overall, pound for pound, band for band, bar for bar, bag for bag, Yuta Okkotsu is undeniably him, undeniably the new strongest, and undeniably will likely go uncontested for life. Once again, it's over now. There's no more time. Unfortunately, no more Kazakuru's gonna get any stronger because the series is over. But let's not waste any more time and let's hop right into it. Heading me, are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go. What's up, guys? That guy with just a pencil here. Fun fact: I'm going to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. And another fun fact: I have said many things. When you've been making content as long as I have, you say a couple things. And of course, as I've said many things in the past, unfortunately, I cannot sit here and tell you I've been 100% consistent on things I've said before. And I can promise you, I will not be 100% consistent on things I'm going to say in the future. And I can promise you on top of that promise that I will not 100% stick to things I say in this very video, just because things change, times change, life changes, all that. Beautiful, wonderful, amazing stuff. So, let me sit here right now, looking you directly in your eyeballs, and tell you that this boy right here, with them stitches on his forehead and that filth on his shoulder, is the strongest Jujutsu Kaisen character now. Of course, this comes with very specific caveats. Am I saying Yuta Okkotsu is the strongest character in the verse, or was he ever? No. Yuta Okkotsu, from his introduction back in Zero to chapter 271, was ever the strongest character in the verse of JJK. And that's because characters like Sukuna exist, characters like Gojo exist, and those are really the only two concrete ones. You can argue for days, Kenjaku fans. You can argue for years, decades, millennia, eons, Kashimo fans. And the Yuji fans were gonna talk about you. And by you, I mean me. But ultimately, Yuta Okkotsu, if you look at the stat sheet, bro. If you look at the stat sheet, he only falls behind two. And it's Big Kuna and it's Big Gojo. Those are the only two he falls behind. But, like I said, he's the strongest character now. AKA time of 271. Realistically, time of 268. Not 268. 269. When Sukuna exited his stage left in blob form. But you may be wondering, okay, Pencil man. How could this be? Wait. I feel the funny thing is, I am making this video because I've seen other people say certain characters are stronger. And here's the thing. I look at you, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, and I can still tell you that I believe there are certain characters who are alive that could either A, give you a run for his money, or B, just outright beat him. I'm still going to sit here. I mentioned in the intro, I'm still delusional. Even though I think it's not really delusional, I'm still delusional. I think you give this young woman some earplugs. Where's she at? I know you here. I preloaded you. I know you're here. You cannot hide from me. Don't you dare hide from me. Oh, wow. Just successfully hiding from me. This is crazy. This is actually crazy. But essentially, I believe there is a certain individual that is living and breathing in this darn manga that could hypothetically give a Mr. Okkotsu them paws, them hands, that work, simply because of the matchup. But when I'm ranking characters, I typically won't sit here and talk to you about a matchup, because you typically try to rank characters mostly in a vacuum, aka who do they win against more, who do they win against less. So while I can sit here, look you directly in the eyes and say I do believe that Maki's ended based on her feats against Ryoma Sukuna and his dismantles, along with her unblockable blade and her general stat spread in comparison to her fellow compatriots, that yeah, she could eke out a dub against Yuta Okkotsu. And I think she can more times than she can't. That will not let me sit here and lie to you and say that this one trick wonder is any good in comparison to Yuta Okkotsu. Because let's talk about what it really means to be the strongest. What it really means to be at the top. What it really means to be number one in the verse. It is not just stats, and it's not just win con. Because, notably, I do believe if your win con is good enough to the point where it's an answer to everything, then yeah, fine, you can work with that, you can cook with that, you can clean with that. That's delicious. And arguably, soul negation SSK is whatever. It's clearly a real good win con. But if we're talking about why Yuta Okkotsu is the strongest, we got to go into a couple things. Thing number one, them thick, them hefty, them juicy, raw stats. Now, are there characters who are more physically powerful than Yuta? Yeah. I already showed you one of them. I think Maki Zenin is physically more powerful than Yuta. I know some people aren't going to like that, but hey, just once again, I'm gonna do Maki versus Yuta in its own video one day with like proper editing, stuff like that. So like, well, I'll break that down more in depth. I know there are certain people in the comments that are going crazy right now, and I'll blame you. Once again, you can call straight delusional, but I'm trying to argue for the boy here. But yeah, I think Maki Zenin is physically stronger. Yeah, I think ultimately Yuji Itadori is physically stronger. Yeah, I can even see it. Let me extend the olive branch, an olive branch of olive branches. Let me be completely honest and absolutely and indubitably real with you. Where is what I'm looking for? This is what I'm looking for. I am dumb as a brick. But ultimately, I do believe that certain individuals in this manga are just physically stronger than Yuta. Like your Yuji Totoris, like your Maki Zenin, and they're both still alive. I think certain characters are faster than a Mr. Okkotsu. Once again, you have Mr. Yuji Itadori, the mystical magical bagman himself, or lack of a bag, the bagman. Yeah, we have moments of these two fighting alongside each other, working together, converging their attacks, running evenly while Yuta's domain amped and mostly fresh. While Yuji's been fighting numerous battles, healed off numerous injuries, and has yet to hit a Black Flash at this point. Then Yuji naturally goes on to awaken and get a whole lot stronger, a whole lot faster, start to really understand the core of his cursed energy, and really get up there in terms of his physical stats. So yeah, I think Yuji and Maki both have better combat speed and better strength than Yuta. Durability? It's hard. It's hard with Yuji specifically, and it's hard with Maki both, mainly because of like how we're supposed to judge the interactions. Because technically, all of them at one point or another eat a dismantle, but like why they eat dismantles all varies. Like Yuta eats dismantles when they're heavily nerfed by Yuji, and Maki eats dismantle when they're heavily nerfed by Yuji. And Yuji hasn't just eaten dismantles when he's heavily nerfed Suguna, but also he should have resistance to Suguna's abilities because he's soaked in Suguna's cursed energy. At least if we go by Gojo's own assertment. So durability-wise, it's more hard to argue, and I would more readily give that to Yuta just because of bulk and how he's been described. Mr. Highest output in the verse with his regular punches can't even really damage Yuta. And I don't know, I think just based on the amount of damage that Yuji's taken from punches by Suguna and the amount of damage that Maki's taken. Well, then again, how much damage does Maki take from me? But that aside, stat-wise, I'll say, I think there are two living, breathing characters in universe who do, in fact, outstat Yuta in some very notable ways. Strength and speed are real big stats. They're really thick. They're really juicy. And with durability being kind of vague because of how tanky those characters are, absolutely. And for the character who I was gonna throw a bone to, let's just throw that gosh darn bone. I don't really want to. He's so stupid. But let me throw a bone. Yeah. You can make an argument. You can make a real solid argument that, yeah, technically Akari Kinji in Jackpot, at least according to Gojo's own statement, and based on how cursed energy reinforcement works, and yada 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 yada. You've heard it all before. All the different statements. Akari Kinji would also be physically superior to Yuta just because of their base cursed energy, or their base frames, plus cursed energy reinforcement, plus their amounts of cursed energy. Yeah, bada bing, bada boom. Card fans, hope you're happy. That's the only bit of Glaciers again in this video. I think. But, okay. So, Pencil, you just named all three of the heavy hitters, and nobody else, because no one else is relevant, yeah. And you're saying that all of them have better speed and better strength than Yuta. So how exactly is Yuta the strongest if other characters have better stats than him? This is where we gotta get into something big, something hefty, something roundabout and juicy, and it's that bag. It's all in a bag. Let me talk about it. Let me talk about it. If you were to grab Yuta Okkotsu by the dome piece, throw him with no sword, no curse technique, no nothing, just base Yuta against any other heavy hitter, you could even probably take away SSK. It would take forever. It would take forever. Maki would have to drag you to all about creation. Yuji would have to drag you to all throughout creation. And Okura would have to drag you to all throughout creation while somehow staying in Jackpot. Yeah, if you were to throw him in that way, well, yeah, of course he loses. Because he just doesn't have the stats, right? But that's the thing. Yuta Okkotsu doesn't have to have the stats when someone else got the stats for him. Remember, when we're talking about Yuta Okkotsu, we cannot just talk about Yuta Okkotsu. We gotta talk about the biggest, the beefiest, the meanest, the baddest, and the raddest curse in the entire series. Rika Orimoto, the queen of curses. And how physically speaking, she does the best against Sukuna. Like the best. And she is just Yuta plus. She's always there. And no, the biggest thing that's crazy, she does the best against Sukuna, well, unmanifested. And we know her fully manifesting gives her, admittedly an unquantifiable, but a massive buff. We never see fully manifested Rika versus Sukuna, but just based on the performance of regular Rika in combination with Yuta Okkotsu, it gets a little teeny tiny bit devious because she has the best feats in terms of just raw manhandling Sukuna. Of course, Yuta has his moments, but look at this. Look at this nonsense. Look at this insanity, bro. Double hammer fist straight down into the ground. Look at this. Getting hit. Oop. Bada bing, bada boom. Sukuna has to use cleave in order to just get her off of him. Where's the scene where Rika literally picks him up and like ragdolls him into one of Yuji's kicks? Like, legitimately, physically speaking, the only character who does comparable to Rika in terms of like knockback and physical control over Sukuna, it's literally Super Awakened Yuji and Maki. So, when you're fighting Yuta, you don't just fight Yuta. You fight his super strong Shikigami, who is, for all intents and purposes, immortal. The only things that could hypothetically hard counter this Shikigami are all theory. Like, you could make an argument, well, maybe Yuji could punch the curse away from Rika, because we know this Rika still does apparently have some little itty-bitty bits and remnants of the original Rika Orimoto's soul, and maybe that's what's tying her to Yuta still, so maybe Yuta could have his connection severed if Yuji went in there and went mink, 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 and then tried to separate them. But even then, entirely headcanon, we have no idea how that would work. You may be able to make an argument that SSK could do permanent damage to Rika, but then again, I've seen quite the opposite. I've seen arguments where people say SSK wouldn't do anything to Rika because she doesn't have a soul. She only has slivers of a soul. So you can't damage something that doesn't have a soul. Then again, Rika, if she just doesn't have a soul, she'd be like an inanimate object. Like, she should fall in the criteria for SSK. But we've seen her heal rate. It's actually pretty darn speedy, no Gonzalez. Like, she is able to get that motion in the ocean real quick. She immediately regenerates her arm, basically. So, with that being the case, that healing goes crazy. And she should have some perception of the soul, maybe, even if only accidentally. Once again, kind of like how the Sukuna accidentally has perception of the soul through being a dual soul being. So, it's very likely that since he could heal the soul, Rika could heal the soul. But once again, pure headcanon. We don't know how that would work out. We still don't even know how SSK and Rika would interact because we simply never see it. But that's the thing. You don't just fight Yuta. You fight Rika. And he shares vision with Rika. And they can jump you at the same time. And he has a blade. And his stats, while they may be lagging behind the other heavy hitters in terms of just raw physical strength and speed, his bulk is nothing to scoff at. It's nothing to sneeze at. In fact, it's arguably the most impressive out of all of them, considering unlike Maki and unlike Yuji, he doesn't have any special resistance or an even weaker Sukuna. He just has to straight up deal with it. And he does. He eats those bad boys for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a snack on the side. Well, admittedly not too bad, but still, he does pretty darn well for a guy who's just first interacting with it. And once again, we gotta use Sukuna as the scaling metric for Shinjuku characters, and he reaches that scaling metric. Sure, he's still weaker and not as durable as Ryu, but hey, no character in the verse, except for like Satoru Gojo and Ryomen Sukuna, are as beefy and bulky as my glorious, amazing, legendary, scrumdily, yumptious, pompadour having king, Ryu Ishigori. So I can't dock him points for that. So, stat-wise, he's behind some characters, but still relative enough where I don't think any of them are blitzing him. And he has basically another copy of him that is actually better than a copy of him because it's stronger, likely just a little bit faster, and can appear from literally anywhere and everywhere to do crazy amounts of damage to the environment and to his opponents. But like I said, we're just starting to talk about your bag. The bag is deep. The bag is bottomless. The bag is endless. And it's all thanks to this. Now, I'll be honest, if he could only use this bad boy for 5 minutes, I'd hit you with something like this. 5 minutes? He's trapped! But I can't do that no more because we got the big DE. Authentic mutual love. Now you may be wondering, well, Pencil Man, what does this change? And you can only use the copy technique for 5. There's no set time limit on this domain. I believe the volume where this domain was featured has already come out or is close to coming out. Nothing has been set as a limitation to this domain. No, nothing at all. Nothing at all. The only limitation that's argued based on what we see later on in the text is that ultimately Rika cannot be fully manifested while... Well, actually, she could be fully manifested. He'd just be burning through the 5-minute time limit outside domain. So that's the only thing. That Rika may have to show up not fully manifested. Oh well, she's already super duper powerful without fully manifesting. So realistically, Yuta just does have a limited copy. And let's be real, y'all. We can go bend for bend. We can go technique for technique. Yuta with his domain, while it may not be as refined as someone like Ryo Sukenas, as Satoru Gojo, as Big Jaco, all these monsters, all these creatures, all these animals, Yuta Okkotsu's domain is refined. Much more refined than a certain individual who decided that they were going to get domain expansion because domain expansion was cool. So they wanted to get a domain expansion for themselves. And you know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about my own glorious king, Yuji Itadori. His domain is booty! That's right. I said it. His domain is cheeks. It's cheeks, gosh darn it. It's cheeks. Actual booty butts. His domain is trash. In terms of refinement, we know that by the size of the domain. In terms of the ability itself, we know that. In terms of skill, it's so trash, bro. Yuji's domain is in the gutters, bro. It's in the gutters. It's whack. So even if you were to say somehow, some way, thanks to mystical, magical, miracle, Sukin and stuff, that somehow Yuji's domain is able to keep up with Yuta's and cancel out their respective sure hits, but keep their respective environments or start to fuse them together, guess what Yuta Okkotsu still has? He still has infinite katanas! He can still clap infinite cheeks, bro! It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. I try so hard and got so far. But in the end, authenticity and mutual love outperforms basically every other domain. Especially the living characters. It's only Yuji and like Hakari, but like Hakari's fire. So it really don't matter. Yuta Okkotsu, he has the perfect domain even for domain clashes. Because even if it gets in the clash and the sure is negated, he still has infinite katanas with all the CTE he's stockpiled, bro. Every last one of them, bro. He's so good. Like, he's so cracked. I don't know how you'll get a man whose domain is like literally one of the best in the series outside the actual open barrier deities or, you know, like the instantaneous one shots. That honestly don't even really actually one shots sometimes. But still, when it compares to Yuta's bag, it's really kind of crazy. The depth of the bag is insane. From sky manipulation to Drew Shikigami technique to whipping out sky manipulation again to the cleaves, everything that makes it work. The curse speed, he just has a bag. And in terms of the bag is what is needed. That doesn't even make any sense. But still, that's how it is. When you need to chase a bag, comes to Yuta Okkotsu because he's got bag to spare, bro. That's why I say he's the strongest. It's just him. Because he has an answer for every situation. Oh no, you get a little bit too speedy? Let me precog you. Oh, you getting a little bit too uppity? Let me do something like that. Like, that's the thing. There's so many options that Yuta has. And of course, he doesn't know till he picks up the sword. But that doesn't matter. Because you don't know what happens until he hits you with it. So sure, it could be something as harmless as I was trying to think of like something completely harmless. But that's the thing. What in Yuta's domain is harmless? Like actually perfectly harmless? I don't know. But that goes to show just how powerful he is. The fact that his whole pack is basically lethal if it's used properly. And you may be wondering, Pencil Man, everything in the bag can't be lethal because precognition is also in the bag. And while it's neat, it ain't that useful. It ain't that clean. And you're right. But it's the combination of everything. Once again, Yuta Okkotsu on his own is simply not that broken. They're characters with better stats, who can use a blade better, who have a better blade, bada bang, bada boom. But it's when you take it all in combination, when you start stacking on that bag. Precog alone ain't all too bad. When you stack that precog upon the ability to attack Sukuna, ooh, that's pretty good. Oh, Cursed Speech, it really ain't that clean. But when you throw Cursed Speech as a mix-up option, when surrounded by a bunch of other different options, yeah, Cursed Speech can become real dangerous. Sky Manipulation, it's nice, but it's just a knockoff Limitless. Yeah, it's nice when it's just a knockoff Limitless in combination with a bunch of other options Okkotsu can hit you with. That's the thing. It's the variety of the bag, the depth of the bag, and the endless nature of the bag. That's the thing. It's a tri-bag combo, right? This isn't no simple deal. It's a fusion of everything that makes Okkotsu undeniably the strongest. Because one thing I'll say, as effective as her bag is, as clean as it is, it's smash out. If you are able to keep up with Maki and somehow deal with SSK, which I don't think Yuta can, but still, if you're able to do that, her bag is kinda cheap. She even got something like Adversity or having to shut down curse techniques. She really ain't like that for real. I'm sorry. If you are not an incarnated sorcerer, until I see it, if you're giving Yuji soul damage in the same style as SSK, then he gets his paws on you, gets a little bit devious, but he ain't got no range. His bag is deep, but it's deep, right? Like, he's got a domain, he's got symbol domain, he's got dismantle, he's got blood manipulation, he got all that, but it ain't really that deep, you know what I'm talking about? And the quality ain't all there. And his domain is kind of booty meat, right? And Hikari Kenji is a pillow puncher. He's whack and his AP's in the garbage. Even giving him those Yuta statements, there's nothing to suggest Hikari punches, which is the only thing he can do. There's nothing to suggest he punches or kicks harder than Ryu Ishigori, someone who was struggling to do any damage to Yuta at all. Pre-Shinjuku, pre-Yuta upping his durability again. According to Sukuna, because that's the main thing that got up. According to Big Kuna himself. Big Kuna himself took one look at these two and was like, golly gee willikers, what'd you two do the past month? Like, they are just even more bulky. So Hikari literally has nothing at all to challenge Yuta, bag-wise, depth-wise, anything. So Yuta is that perfect combination of good enough. Oh, but he only has access to 5 minutes. He has a roundabout way around that through his domain. Oh, but his stats alone aren't that good. He has the Queen of Curses on his hip. And worse comes to worse, if you're really doing something against him, he can fully manifest her inside the domain and not have to worry about that. Oh, but his curse techniques are only good if they pull at the appropriate time. As we've seen, he can pull at the appropriate times. Oh, but what if I have symbol domain? Symbol domain's not good enough. Oh, but what if the domain, if it's not refined, is not good enough? Once again, the only character who basically hard counters Yuta is Maki. Because his domain don't work. And you can argue she has the speed in order to avoid everything Rika and Yuta have to throw at her. That's it. And even then, it's still heavily debatable. I ain't gonna sit here and say it's an easy match. I can still see Maki easily losing an arm, losing a leg. Well, she loses a leg, she's cooked. But still, I can easily see Maki getting some work done to her by Yuta still. Even if I do believe that Maki could pull up a clutch W. 100%. It's no easy dub. And even then, it's super situational and it depends on how you scale it. By general scaling, with everything that Yuta has to offer narratively, it's easy. I've been just talking about the bag. I've just been talking about the stats. I've been talking about all that. But if we go into what the narrative has to say about Yuta, yeah, he's the second strongest. Or was the second strongest when Gojo was still alive, and now by proxy is the first strongest. The whole narrative is kind of around that boy. Ryomen Suguna considers him the main dish, the one he was the most excited to fight. Even, well, admittedly, not the most excited, he was really excited to fight Maki. But still, that aside, in terms of the sorcerers, yeah, Ryomen Suguna was most excited to fight him. He was considered the main dish. Yeah. When you look at all of the statements inside and outside the narrative, this man right here is called the second strongest sorcerer of the modern day. Second only to Santo to Gojo on usual abilities. Yeah, he's like that. He's built like that for real. Heck, the narrative but after the Shinjuku Showdown even goes to build Yuta up as, oh yeah, he's Mr. Himothy. He's that dude. He's that guy. Because while Yuji does go on to fulfill the Gojo-esque role in 271, because he's our main character. We had to give him something to wrap up with. It's Yuta who has everybody piling all the responsibility, dog piling on top of him, just like everyone piled all the responsibility and all the needs and all the necessities and all that respect on top of Satoru Gojo. It's because Yuta Okkotsu is goddamn. And in my opinion, he is the best performance against Sukuna. I'll talk about it. I'm gonna talk about Maki's performance against Sukuna. I'm gonna talk about Yudi's performance against Sukuna. But pound for pound, bag for bag. Even once you throw Yujo in there, I removed Yujo, and I'll talk about Yujo in his own video. Obviously you can tell me I'm not including Yujo here because it's not a permanent thing, and it really wouldn't matter. But still, Yujo's overkill, and regular Yuda's just enough. His bag is just that deep. His stats are just good enough. He has Rika to supplement wherever he lacks, and overall, he has to be the second strongest sorcerer of all time, but that's a lie because that's not Satoru Gojo. But ultimately, he does have to be the new strongest character in the series, as everyone else stronger than him has fallen one way or another. But of course, in the end, that's what I think. Please tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you think that in spite of Yuta's bag, in spite of Yuta's really good stats, in spite of the many arguments for Yuta in narrative and out of narrative for him being the new strongest character in the series, do you still have other characters above him? Do you have Yuji above him? Do you have Maki above him? Do you have Akari above him? Do you have Megami? I don't know. I guess like post Sukuna Megami about. Like, please let me know all that and more in the comment section down below. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave bottomless bag. I'm gonna say that already, but still, leave bottomless bag in the comment section down below. I'd like to thank you so much for watching. If you want to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you hit that little notification bell so you not miss out on every second of the channel. Also, I'm gonna have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month, exclusive videos, early content, and more. Also, now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks will include the live reactions, so the series I happen to review, ad variations of all my videos, and if you come to a $5 Patreon or to a $10 member, you can order whatever video you want. Also, I do have a link to my Ko-Fi in the description down below where you can drop 5 beans for a short video, 25 beans for a long video, any beans at all. Any support is always greatly appreciated. Now, I'd like to thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Dak of the Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members: Zara, Greyhound, Eternal Flame, NMA, Real Rare, Red Wolf 4765, Astro, Brandon Payne, G Prosper, and Glacier XZ. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $5 patrons: Midnight Lord 21, Kevin Encarnacion, Sean, Igneel Lind, and A+A. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $7 members: Fine and Austin Wimberly, A Uchiha, along with Yuki Ally. And I'd like to give a big ol' thank you to our $10 members: Robbie Uchiha, Jay Warrior, and AZ Void. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $10 patrons: Overlord Zero, Joaquin Munoz, and Idem Okami. And I'd like to give a final, giga, legendary, superhuman, beyond the bounds of reality thank you to our That Guy with a Pencil tier patron. Okay. Calvin Elder.